thing, a lot of people ask, now, not a whole lot of people because they don't know, but a good portion of people ask, gotta fix my fucking shitty ass selfie stick, how do I get, that Black Sabbath tone? I purposely try, when it comes to getting a tone, to kind of steal a lot from Tony. Tony Iommi is possibly the main influence to everything that I do. I mean, I have Richie, I have Dave Murray and Adrian Smith, I have Kerry King, I have Dave Mustaine, I got a lot of Buckethead and the like, Yngwie Malmsteen. I have guys that I try to pattern myself after, but for the most part, a good portion of my sound, actually all of my sound, really comes from Tony. Like, the music that I write happens to sound a lot like Sabbath anyways. I write doom metal, and I basically just steal his tone. Like, it's not like I'm all that original when it comes to coming up with my own tone. Sorry everybody. I basically just work with what Tony had invented, and I try to capture it the best I can, just because, like, everybody agrees that Tony has that oomph, that growl, that nastiness that everybody kind of wants out of a guitar tone, even though at this point his tone is so old, all that Sabbath stuff's so old, but people still want it. Like, granted, you know, I think amps have, since probably the 80s, even though really, you know, nowadays, like, tone's a little different. You know, you get these amps now that can do what amps from the 80s and the 70s could never do, but, like, everybody still wants that, like, 80s, 70s tone that these amps, you know, that you had to push to the limit, but, you know, the good tone has been around for years. I mean, granted, it's been, you know, good tone's been around for years already, but when it comes to distortion on amps, it's been a thing for a while. Now, of course, back in the day, Tony had to do some trickery to get his tone to sound as good as he wanted it to. He used the Range Master, and he used what was it, Laney amps, I believe, at the time when he originally started. Now, of course, he switched to Orange for just a little bit, and I'm pretty sure he did Marshall just for a little bit too, if I remember right. Of course, that is almost unneeded nowadays. It really is, because tone is way easier to come by nowadays with just the technology we have and the, you know, trying to capture the sounds that we've heard from our childhood way easier throughout the years. You know, now what I have, you're about to see when I show you, but I literally only use one pedal, and I use well, an amp, but obviously an amp, but, you know, I only use one pedal, which that's almost like, some people almost like wonder how I even am doing a lot of what I do when it comes to sound just with one pedal. Like, obviously nowadays, if you wanted to, you could just use an amp, you know what I mean? The amp is, amps have gotten so good that using the distortion on the amp, now granted, you know, you're gonna want a different type of sound, but, you know, sometimes I could just run straight out of my Marshall head and just turn on the distortion, and that's all I need. But, you know, it's a little different now. This is not the guitar I'm using for the video, but this is what I wanted to be my Doom guitar. I call it Tony for obvious reasons, but I put a Damasio Super Distortion in the neck pickup, the bridge pickup, and that gave too much of a bright tone. It sounded too much like 80s hair metal. Sounded too powerful. Okay, so you want a darker sound. It's basically what you're looking for when it comes to the tone, the Tony Iommi tone. You want darker, you want heavy, but with something like that, you got more Van Halen, you get more like, you know, it's happy-ish, which is weird to describe like heavy metal as happy-ish, but you'll understand. Bright's actually the term you're looking for. Bright, it's too bright. It's essentially it. So I use this. Get into camera here. That's called my Doom Machine for a reason. It uses a Seymour Duncan SH, I think either 4 or 6. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's the sound. That, if anything, that is my sound. You know what I mean? Like, that pickup gives me everything that I've ever wanted out of a guitar. I need to use it more often in other guitars, but right now it's just in my V, and I love it. I've been using that pickup since I was 17, 18, something like that. Like, it's been a part of my life for a long time now, and it's never done me wrong. It's one of the best sounds I can possibly ever ask for. And the thing about it is, like, it gives me more than just that sound. Like, if I want other sounds out of it, it does it great. Like, I can do clean pretty well. I can do like jazz, I can do blues, I can do hard rock. There's a lot of different things I can do with that pickup. I'm not just strictly stuck to doom metal, or like that, you know, that sound that, you know, I know it as, and I'm trying to tell you is the reason why it's a good pickup. I would say that pickup is the main contributor to the sound, the Tony Iommi sound. Now, granted, Tony back in the day, he would use P90s. He would use a certain P90 that he would put into his SG. JD, I believe, the original creator of the Monkey and all of his other SG models, he sent his SG off to JD, if I remember right, and JD kind of did his into the company. I don't remember. I think the guy's name is JD. I don't know, but he did his things to it. He put the P90s in there. I think he gave it the bridge that it's called. I think it's called a wraparound bridge, where it's a bridge and saddle combined together. He basically just worked this guitar to fit Tony's, you know, deformed right hand. Actually, I'm sorry, he's left-handed. His, like, you know, because these two fingers got taken off by license plate machine, and so he had to compensate for it. He'd play 8-gauge strings, which when he would down tune, I think he used 9s. I think he should have. I mean, if anything, he should have, because when you tune down, you know, the sound's gonna be the sound's gonna sound like shit when you tune down to it with 8. It's too much vibration. It's the rubber band effect, or what I call the caveman strings. It's too noisy, too rattly to even work. I use 10-gauge strings, elixirs, which I don't think they really matter in the end. I think you could use whatever strings you want. It's all about the pickup, and it's all about the settings. I call them knob settings. But I'm going to show you my pickup here, or my pedal here. Metal muff. I know it's backwards. The metal muff. What is it? Electro Harmonics metal muff, made in the USA. This pedal here is my, like, quintessential metal pedal. This thing here does everything that I've ever wanted a pedal to do, and that's the thing that you know, even though I'm telling you about Tony's tone, I'm specifically trying to give you guys to understand that what I use is universal. It works on so many different levels and not just, you know, Black Sabbath. A lot of guys, you know, they'll go out, and I even did it. I mean, I'll grab it here in a minute, do a little like cut and then show you. I bought, I should say, the Sabbra Cadabra pedal, and the Sabbra Cadabra pedal, I hated it. It did not give me the sound that I really want. I get what they wanted to do with it, but it was too fuzzy and it didn't kick. Like, it didn't give the brrr, you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of resonated in like a lower fuzzy frequency, but it didn't, like, you know, shoot out like I wanted the tone to do. Because that's the thing about Tony's tone is, while it had some fuzz to it, it really just kicked and lit the room up. Like, it felt like an earthquake, or like a lightning, or I should say thunder. It felt like that's all, actually. That's the best way to describe it, especially in Dio era Sabbath, Falling Off the Edge of the World. I think that's the best example of what I'm talking about. And War Pigs, the big hammer on onto E, it just sounds like lightning and thunder, just a big boom. And that's what that pedal couldn't do, but that's what this pedal and the amp that I'm about to show you does. Now, here's the secret to this, though. The secret to this, now, this one here, I can just turn down to nothing because I don't use it. Don't touch the boost. The boost does not need to be pressed. It's just bypass. That's all you need. You turn to the volume to about 10, 11 o'clock. You turn. Now, here's the secret. Now, here's the thing that I always thought was super interesting about his tone, and something that was, it's almost fate, it's almost destiny. Treble 6, mid 6, bass 6, distortion 7. There it is. 6, 6, 6, 7. So how the story, I found a forum on when I was younger. I was trying to find that sound. I wanted that Tony sound. I wanted it, but I also wanted to conjigure it a bit to be something that I wanted, you know, that speaks for me more than it does. Because, you know, you can't just steal someone's tone when, in all reality, I ended up just stealing someone else's tone. But that's another, no, I wanted to have kind of my sound, but like I wanted to know where to start. So I started with Tony's tone, and I was going to work my way into fixing it to sound more like what I would have possibly wanted. But in all reality, Tony's tone is so great. And like I said, okay, so I went on the forum. These websites, forums are almost dead now. I mean, granted, you know, you got Reddit and stuff like that, but there'd be like, I can't remember what the website is, but there'd be these websites where you can go and there'd be people who have like a list of guys, guitar players, and what they think the setting on their amp gave the best sound of, you know what I mean? Like if you look Dave Mustaine, it's like treble 9, and it's like mid 2, and it's like, yeah, that sounds pretty much like how he would have done it. So I went on one of those, and it literally just said 666, and I'm like, no, come on now. There's no way it's literally 666. Like that's what edgelord thought that was the, you know, come on now. No. Turns out it was 666. At least for me, it sounds like 666. that I use for the amp. I use a Orange Crush Pro 120. It's a solid state 120 watt amp, and I could just take the dirty off. I never use the dirty. The dirty honestly is not all that great for me. To me, it just sounds like it kind of sounds like the classic, like, you know, hard rock sound, but even then I wouldn't even used it. It just doesn't sound all that great to me. Clean is where you're at. Now, your clean settings, weirdly enough, only have 2 knobs. I don't know why they didn't give me a mid, but, and you know, if you I don't know if you can see, that's also set to 6 and 6. And the volume here I use as a gain, so I set that to 7. And then my reverb, I set to 7 too, just because, or should I say 2? Well, no, that's more like 2 o'clock, I'm sorry. Yes, I set that to 7 as well. And then volume is whatever you make it, you know, that is your whatevers. But the reverb, oh, and I set it to plate reverb. You need some reverb. That is definitely something. If you don't have reverb, your tone sounds a bit flat. It doesn't carry as well. Because you know, like I said, Tony's tone, it goes out, and with the reverb, it sounds like it. You know, you get this. Excuse me. With Tony's tone, you get this thing where it sounds like you're in a big stadium, and it just echoes through the walls and comes back at you. And when you're alone by yourself and you're in a room like that, and I, you know, literally in my closet is where I keep the amp, it doesn't come out like that, you know what I mean? It needs some reverb so it comes out. So that's basically what I do. I mean, there's no real secret to it. I mean, Tony's tone is, like nowadays, obviously, that I preferenced that at the beginning. Nowadays, Tony's tone is not impossible to get. It's very easy, to be honest. Now, it doesn't sound exactly like Tony's tone. I'm sure people can argue, and people will argue on this video if, you know, this gets out there. But to me, and, you know, to my recordings, it sounds pretty much dead on, if not just slightly off. That's not hard to achieve nowadays with the technology we have. But back then, this was one of those tones that are like sought after. And the only person I've ever heard that kind of came close was Michael Schenker on, I think it was the first Scorpions album. He had a very similar sound. Oh, and Judas Priest, at the very beginning, Judas Priest had a very similar style sound. Brian May of Queen had almost the exact same setup with the Rangemaster, the treble boost that Tony used. He almost had the exact same setup, and, you know, P90s and everything. And I think Tony, I know Brian May did it, but I don't know if Tony did it, but I think he used coins. He used metal coins as picks. Brian May definitely did that, but I don't know if Tony did or not. Which, I mean, you don't have to do that. But here's the last little bit of last little bit of the words I'm not finding that I want to put out there is that tone. Now, you're gonna hear this from a lot of different people, and I know it's gonna piss a lot of people off because they're gonna argue and everything. Tone really does come from the fingers. They come from these. These are your source of tone. Now, granted, you know, the amp and the pedals give you a sound, but tone, how the song is played, how the notes are are played, how it rings out, comes from these. And since Tony had these, you know, slightly fucked up and had plastic bottle caps put on them and then replaced, you know, he would put rubber fingertips on them, that sound that he gets from that, you almost cannot match. Because that's so unique to somebody who, he literally has something that we don't even want to do to achieve. Like, only a crazy person would chop his fingers off to get Tony's tone. I would not recommend that, obviously. Don't do that. But understand that there's a way to sound almost close to him, but you're never going to sound exactly like Tony, ever. There's nobody out there who's going to sound exactly like Tony, because guess what? You have all your fingers. Here's the Sabbra Cadabra pedal. It's in shittier condition now, as you can see. Originally when I bought it though, like, you know, I tried it a couple times. It sounded like shit to me. I never really cared for it. Sorry, the phone. I never really cared for the sound that it gave me. But, you know, I held it, you know, it's a cool little pedal, so I just kind of kept it. I hit it pretty well in a good spot, and, like, it shouldn't have ever broke. Like, that's the thing. Like, what you're seeing now was never what it looked like. I kept it in pretty good condition, and then all of a sudden I busted it out one of these days, and it just shat out on me. I don't know what, I guess it's because, like, maybe I didn't use it well. I have no idea, but it just, I gave up on it, so I just let it turn into shit. So, you know, I hate to talk bad about Cataline Bread, I think. I hate to talk shit on them, but you guys made a shit pedal. I'm sorry. You just did. I hate it.